Welcome back to BetRacingNation here on Sports Tonight Live. We've heard from George Margerson, trainer of Lucky Cristal. Now, hopefully, we've got on the other line Roger Varian, who has got a leading contender, Kingston Hill, in the 2,000 guineas. OK, we're going to hold the line for 1 second, but we'll briefly talk about 2,000 guineas. Yeah. And this is a race, isn't it?
Yeah,
Australia,
I mean, Kingston Hill was the horse I fancied, #1 for the Racing Post Trophy. Made it quite clear, and he done me justice on that day. Thankfully, this is a bigger task. No questions asked. But I don't know, 12 to 1 at the moment, around about 12 to 1 for the Guineas, but 5 to 1 for the Derby. Does that say something about his breeding and the way he's going to stay?
Yeah. And the point might be asked about the ground, because he's not run on a good or faster, and the run in the Racing Post Trophy was on soft.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I don't think it'll be fast ground.
No.
I think there's been rain in Newmarket, but I think there's a massive priced horse in this race. Tourmore and War Command are both overpriced for me.
Right.
With what they've done. If you take the one defeat of War Command out of the form, the rest of the form is absolutely solid as a rock. And his run at Royal Ascot was out of this world, and that was early part of the year. Last year, he's an early part of the year horse. If he reproduces that, he'd win the Guineas.
Who's taking the ride there, do we know? Because JP will be on Australia, won't he? And then I'll take Shamey Heffernan. Will he jump on?
Yeah.
He was the one that rode him at Ascot when winning there. And for me, Shamey Heffernan's a cracking jockey. Not to take anything away from.
But Joseph O'Brien would have say-so on what horse, and obviously decide to go with Australia. We have got Roger Varian on the line. Good evening, Roger.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Sports Tonight Live. Obviously, with Kingston Hill, we saw the win in the Racing Post Trophy. How's he gone since that time till now?
You have to forgive me. It's a terrible line. I can't hear you very well.
Right. Okay. Is that better or not so good?
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay. Maybe I should lean towards the left. Obviously, Kingston Hill won a terrific race in the Racing Post Trophy. How has he developed from then till now?
He's done very well. He's grown a little bit, and he's a stronger horse. Be very happy with his condition. He's training. He's trained nicely. Had a very smooth preparation. So we think we've got him ready to run, and be very pleased with the horse.
Would you be pretty pleased with the rain that's due later this evening? Because obviously that race was running softish ground.
Yeah, his form's, obviously on soft and good to soft, but, I think this horse will be quite comfortable in drier conditions. I'd be a little concerned if the track came up too firm. I don't think it will. We've had a drop of rain today. We haven't had too much, but we've had a drop of rain, and I walked the track 2 days ago, and it's in good condition. So I wouldn't at this stage have any ground fears, unless we had a bit of heat and a dry wind whipped through over the next 2 days, which I don't think we will. I think the track will be in good condition.
And in relation to the draw, are you happy with the draw, or you don't think it matters too much?
I don't think it will play a huge part, to be honest. 14 runners, still 4. We're happy with that. I think there's a couple of the pace horses around us, which we like to see. But I think if there was 20-odd runners, then you'd be a bit more concerned of a draw. I think 14, hopefully they're racing one group up the middle.
And in relation to the Racing Post Trophy, I mean, sort of some pundits would say, or formists would say, that the form hasn't held up, but you're very confident, or as confident as you can be going into Saturday.
For sure, yeah. It's you could pick the Racing Post Trophy apart a little bit if you like, but the way he won was. He was very dominant on the line. He won, what did he win, 4.5 lengths, and actually in all 3 of his races he hasn't had a horse take him to the line yet. He's won all 3 races fairly comfortably, and I think it will be his biggest test to date on Saturday, no doubt about that, but I'm very happy with him. I think he'll run a very big race.
OK, in terms of, just a side away from the big race on Saturday, you've got a couple of horses entered for next. We've had a lot of feedback from Twitter. Just want to ask you about Perfect Heart in the Chester Cup. Is everything in all systems go for that?
Yeah, he's in good nick. He'd need a bit of luck to get a run, I think. He needs a few horses to come out. and he's one who'd want to drop a rein. His form, his best form's on soft ground. I don't think they've been as wet on the northwest as they have been in the south, and I think they give it good to firm the track at the moment. And I'm not sure that much rain is forecast, so we'll have to keep an eye on the weather. But no, he's in good form, and at this stage we'd like to run, but as I said, we need a bit of luck with a few horses to come out above him, I think.
OK, and it's, Tom, do you want to...
Yeah, hi Roger. Just briefly, quite interesting to see, with most horses that are in the Guineas, they're shorter for the Guineas, bigger price for the Derby. Not with Kingston Hill. Money's really down for this one, isn't it, for the Derby? 5 to 1, I think. 5 or 6 to 1, best price for the Derby, but as big as 12 for the race on Saturday. What do you make of that?
We said all along... we very much a Derby in mind. I think he's a Derby horse who can run, very well in the Guineas, and hopefully by running very well in the Guineas, we can win the Guineas. But no doubt, the style of his wins last year pointed towards him hopefully being effective over middle distances. That's where his future lies, I think. The Racing Post Trophy's got a very good record of producing Derby winners. And, we want to see a big run on Saturday, but we'd look forward to jumping onto Epsom. I think Saturday's it's going to be an interesting race. There's horses from the Guineas that will be dropping back in trip after their Guineas. There's horses in the Guineas who will be stepping up in trip. And there's probably some that will stay at the mile. But, when they all clash over the same trip, it's interesting. I think to win a Guineas, you've got to stay. Newmarket's a tough mile. And, we're confident we'll be galloping on strong at the line. So often damned if they do and damned if they don't. For any one meeting, there's going to be, 70, 80 runners. There's going to be trainers in the camp for faster conditions, trainers in the camp for softer conditions, and it's very hard to please everyone. I think they've got to try and make it as fair as possible, and I don't think that there should be pressure for Clarksville horses to produce good ground, but there probably ought to be pressure for them to produce safe ground.
OK, and one final question. I appreciate we've detoured away. Someone's asked about Ambivalent. Is that scheduled to go to York, Middleton at York?
I got Ambivalent. I didn't hear the question about
Sorry, about going to York.
Yeah, possibility. She's got a few options. She's run very well at the highest level, and she's got good form at the Curragh, over 10 furlongs, winning the Pretty Polly there last year. And she could go to York, or she could hang on and take on the boys in the Tattersalls Gold Cup at the Curragh.
OK. All right, thanks very much. I'm sorry about the sound issues, Roger, but thank you very much indeed for your time this evening.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, thanks again to Roger Varian, who's given us the update not only on Kingston Hill, but one or two other things as well. And Steps could run next Sunday. That's pretty good news. We are going to talk about the 2,000 guineas after a short break and go into a little bit more detail. But your views on what Roger had to say about Kingston Hill?
Well, you want to back him in the Derby, don't it? By the sounds of it, he's quite sure.
But we had John on last week, and he made the point, and his father is an established bookmaker over the years, and I'm looking from a bookmaker's perspective, and he's watched not thousands of guineas, but 20 or 30 of them, and they say the horse has got to stay.
Yeah,
the mile will be run at a strong pace.
Yeah.
So
when Frankel won the Guineas,
yeah,
I thought to myself, this horse would stay another half mile easily.
Yeah.
And you can't. They did what they did with Frankel, but most Guineas winners, most horses in the first 3 or 4 of the Guineas, are all good animals and all stay well.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, as Roger said, some will come back in distance and some will stay that a little bit further. What's your view on the horse itself? I made the point that the Racing Post Trophy form was been let down by Johann Strauss, and, you've got to be made point that 4 horses were supplemented for that race. No horse had won above Group 3 level that was in there. It wasn't like the Camelot of a Racing Post.
Again, I think Roger said it quite fair and square. The way that he's won his races and the mile in the Racing Post suggests that he's winning them with an intent to stay 1 mile 2 and 1 mile 4. If he can reproduce the Racing Post victories in there with every single chance there is, But I'm keeping my eye on him for the extended trip.
You've had a little flat one for the Derby, haven't
you? You know, the money's down for him in the Derby. I said it, you know, he's short as 5-1. Yeah. And when you're 12-1 in a Guineas and 5-1 in a Derby, as I say, it's usually the other way around. You know, you're 5-1 and then 12-1 extended odds for the later race. And this is really interesting market move for him in the Derby. I'm keeping my eye on it there.
OK, well, we are going to take a short break, but we are going to come back and talk about the 2,000 Guineas. So we want your treats as well. I mean, the hype around Kingman, the hype around Australia, what a race it's going to be on Saturday. We are going to talk about that in much more detail. Are you really going to take the even money for Kingman? Or are you going to go with me and go with Australia? We'll be back after this very short break.